Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something that literally almost all of us face at some point: the immense challenge of public speaking. Whether you're stepping into a high stakes business meeting, logging onto a virtual conference, or just trying to share an idea at a local community event, your ability to communicate clearly can completely shape your opportunities and influence your success. But let's be real, for so many of us, the mere thought of speaking up triggers instant panic. So today, we're going to break down the definitive guide to mastering this absolutely vital skill.
Have you ever just completely frozen up or felt your heart beating out of your chest right before you have to speak to a crowd or even just stare into a camera lens? Well, you are absolutely not alone. Stage fright is a universally shared anxiety. In fact, avoiding public speaking is incredibly common just because that anxiety feels so overwhelming. But what if that fear could actually be unlearned?
To conquer that fear, we'll unpack the timeless wisdom of Dale Carnegie. Here is our agenda for today. 1. The fear of speaking. 2. A century-old solution. 3. 4 core speaking lessons. 4. Modern-day relevance. And 5. Who is this for? Let's start with section 1. The fear of speaking. Overcoming anxiety. We so often buy into this massive myth that charismatic speaking is just a rare genetic trait, a gift you either have or you don't. But Carnegie's reality check is so much more empowering. Public speaking is a learnable skill. Think about it like riding a bike or playing a musical instrument. It improves through preparation, practice, and experience. You aren't missing some magical public speaking gene, you simply need the right toolkit.
Moving right along to section 2, a century-old solution, timeless advice.
Think about this. Way back in 1915, Dale Carnegie and J. Berg Essenwein first published The Art of Public Speaking, originally teaching these skills at a local YMCA. Throughout the 20th century, these principles influenced literally millions of people worldwide, establishing the very foundation for modern communication training. And the crazy part? Today, these exact same analog lessons actively guide how we communicate on our video calls and social media platforms. Carnegie's approach became wildly popular because he absolutely refused to use dense, confusing, technical jargon. His core message was incredibly encouraging. He said strong communication is not a rare talent reserved for a few gifted individuals. So the takeaway here is that anyone, and I mean anyone, can build this confidence by facing discomfort gradually and understanding just a few foundational principles. Which brings us to section 3, 4 core lessons, speaking techniques. Instead of handing us a dense technical manual, Carnegie gives us a super straightforward roadmap to transforming our communication style. It boils down to 4 steps: practice, emotion, delivery, and preparation. Together, these act as a comprehensive framework that tackles both the mental hurdles of speaking and the practical mechanics of keeping your audience hooked. Let's dive into each one. Step 1 is practice. Look, confidence isn't magic. You can't just read a book about swimming and expect not to drown, right? You have to actually get in the water. It's the same here. Start by putting yourself in low-stakes situations, maybe just speaking up in a small team meeting, and do it over and over to desensitize your brain to that panic. By facing the discomfort repeatedly, you build confidence rep by rep, speech by speech. Step 2 focuses on emotional connection. We've all been there. Have you ever listened to someone who perfectly memorized their speech, but you are still incredibly bored? That's because words alone just aren't enough. Audiences don't want to listen to a robot. They want sincerity. If you are genuinely passionate and care about your message, that energy acts like a magnet. It inspires trust and holds attention way faster than a perfectly memorized script ever could. Then we have step 3, which is delivery. Think of your voice literally as an instrument. If you play the exact same note over and over, people are going to tune out. But if you change your pacing, use tactical pauses, and really emphasize key words, you create this dynamic rhythm. Changing up your vocal tone automatically draws the listener's ear right back to you and completely prevents your speech from sounding flat or dull. Finally, step 4 is preparation. Now, Carnegie actually warns against memorizing a speech word for word. Instead, he suggests following a brilliant rule. Know 10 times more about your topic than you actually plan to say. When you possess that deep level of understanding, your ideas naturally organize themselves clearly. Your brain doesn't completely panic if you forget a specific word because you can naturally just explain what you already know. Next up is section 4, modern relevance, communication today. Now, you might be wondering how advice from 1915 applies to our highly digital world today. Well, the exact same psychology that commanded a physical lecture hall back then dictates success on your Zoom calls and social media feeds right now. The medium has completely changed, sure, but the human brain hasn't. Whether it's an online presentation, a public interview, or a remote leadership call, people staring at a screen still crave a genuine, well-prepared, dynamically speaking human being. When you apply this focus on authenticity rather than complicated theory, you develop highly transferable skills. We're talking about overcoming stage fright, building confidence, applying persuasive techniques, improving body language, connecting emotionally, and speaking with clarity. These aren't just speech skills, they are absolutely vital life and leadership skills that give you a massive competitive advantage in a world driven by digital communication.
And that leads us to our final section, Section 5. Who is this for? Target audience.
So, who exactly needs these century-old secrets? Well, whether you're a job seeker trying to ace a crucial interview, a student prepping for a classroom presentation, an entrepreneur pitching a startup, or a professional stepping up into leadership, this masterclass is for you. If your goals require you to effectively transfer an idea from your brain into someone else's, these are your absolute best tools. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought as you step up to your next microphone, camera, or walk into your next boardroom. Knowing that communication is a learnable skill and not some innate gift, how will you prepare to connect and influence during your very next speaking opportunity? You don't have to be naturally gifted. You just have to practice, prepare, connect emotionally, and deliver dynamically. Embrace the discomfort and start making your voice heard. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.